You're watching Access Minnesota. Here's Jim Dubois.
David Hopkins studies trends in retailing. He shares his thoughts on the future of malls and retail centers. David Hopkins is the managing director of Carlson Brand Enterprise at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. Dave, welcome to Access Minnesota. The Mall of America was one of the first American malls to combine retail and entertainment on a grand scale. We notice a lot of empty retail space now in Southdale. Is the Mall of America the future of retail, and are shopping centers such as Southdale and Brookdale relics of the past?
So I think it's a little bit apples and oranges, where Mall of America is a destination and it draws people from around the country. And like you said, it blends experience by blending the dining, the entertainment, etc. And Southdale is more of a regional mall, and typically the success was from the convenience factor, the variety of shopping, and in Minnesota, I guess partly from a weather standpoint, people could realize indoor shopping in comfort and take advantage of convenience. One of the challenges that malls have in general is keeping it fresh and keeping the experience new, so people will keep coming back to the mall. I think that in Southdale's case, and somewhat Mall of America, that a little bit the last couple of years they've been hurt by the recession, like any retailers have been hurt. But I think malls struggle to keep it fresh and try to keep attracting the innovative, even experiential-based retailers to keep attracting people to their locations.
The traditional department store has struggled in recent years, although there are signs that Macy's and some other large chains are rebounding to an extent. Large department stores have historically anchored shopping malls. What impact has the decline of the department store had on the financial success of the malls it anchors?
Well, the anchor stores typically have a stronger brand name and variety, and they'll attract people just in themselves. For instance, at Mall of America, Nordstrom's is one of the anchors, and Macy's, and people will go for those stores and then go to the surrounding stores after they've, from a destination standpoint. And I think that malls struggle when their core anchor leaves. How do they attract the new anchor? Because for the retailers, it's really performance-based. They're not going to stay in a location where they're not getting the results because they have so many choices for their specific locations.
Suburban shopping malls have often had an adverse effect on retail in the downtown sections of major cities and smaller towns. How do some downtown areas manage to buck that trend, and why do others suffer?
So Minneapolis performs better than most, I think, from a downtown standpoint. Most hot retailers, I opt not to locate in city centers in present day. Some of the challenges, like I said, so downtown Minneapolis is a good example. Even though skyways are a good thing, sometimes it's a challenge for shoppers to get to where they want to go in the skyway. Another challenge in downtown Minneapolis is the parking, and people will shop at malls for convenience. Well, they want that convenience of experience to permeate or go throughout their shopping. So they'll avoid downtown if they have an alternative that's closer to their house, that they can have the same shopping options. To offset that, a lot of downtowns attract the more innovative or hot stores or experiences that combine with dining or entertainment events. And I think downtown Minneapolis is doing that with the number of new restaurants in downtown and some of the cultural attractions that we have in downtown, which the suburban areas can't match that, I don't think.
Since stores like Target and Walmart, the mass merchandisers, often carry merchandise that could usually be found in smaller specialty stores in malls, what happens to those malls when a Target or Walmart moves in close proximity?
Well, partly because of being in the mall, that's a single location that has the same intent as a large one-box retailer, where that you have the opportunity, you have the options, you have the variety for shopping. The flip side, though, is that if you look at some of the big box stores that were more specialty big box stores, like an IKEA, or IKEA probably is a good example, where IKEA came in, a lot of the smaller specialty furnishing retailers couldn't compete with them and actually went out of business. So sometimes a big box store coming into a market, it drives out some of the smaller retailers just because they can't compete from a operations cost standpoint and price standpoint.
In years past, shopping at malls was a popular leisure activity for many people. But with the slumping economy, anxiety over jobs, and hints of a growing frugality trend in the country, the number of recreational shoppers seems to be in decline. Were malls designed with the recreational shopper in mind? And if so, what happens to them when shopping habits change?
Well, I think that they were designed, again, to enhance that convenience factor and provide a variety and the experience of actually going to the mall. If you look now in terms of the last 15 years, the online experience has changed shopping as well. And so retailers are looking at how they can still attract their consumers using a combination of their brick and mortar store in addition to their online activities. A lot of the retailers face the same challenge in terms of how they can stay fresh, how they can stay relevant to the consumer. And it's really the same thing. Are they offering the right products at the right price to a particular consumer or a particular target market? And I think it's like any other business, it's how they stay relevant in the mind of the consumer. And some retailers haven't stayed fresh or haven't adapted to the changing tastes of the consumer or adapted to some of the financial pressures in the recession, for instance, so some have been successful, some have not. And I think it's that ability to stay current and stay fresh and offer the experiences that the customer wants. And like I said, the right product at the right price or perceived value.
Is there anything you can add about the future of retail in malls and in downtown areas?
Well, part of it, I think, is that if you look historically at some of those stores that you think that would have been successful in downtown, and there's been 25 to 30% of retail has been lost in downtown Minneapolis since 2000. And you look at the stores, they're all named stores that had sort of an experience connection, Crate and Barrel, Williams and Sonoma, etc. And so if those stores that are the leading brands are leaving, it's difficult to attract a new store to take their place. And so potentially there has to be a concentrated effort to attract those stores, maybe offer incentives and create an entire downtown experience rather than trying the one-off experience. I think Block E as a standalone would never have worked, but if that whole area in downtown had other offerings for people, I think it probably could be successful. And the interesting part is the Twin Stadium could provide that jump start to that part of the economy and attracting people. And as soon as you attract people and people like that, then they're going to repeat visit, and that could drive up some of the success of the retail establishment. And what success breeds success, right? And so if some of those retailers get the results, then it's going to attract new retailers. And so, at the retail level, that's a pure business decision. They're going to go where they make the most money and have the most success. And they're going to leave the places where they don't have success. The city and the development people have a challenge because they need to make sure that the environment is safe. They need to make sure that there's adequate parking. They need to make sure that directionally, eliminate the hassle factor. So make sure people know where they're going, that they're not intimidated. They've tried to alleviate some of the challenges by getting rid of the one-way streets. That's part of it. So can they address the other challenges that are going to make it more enticing to people and more comfortable to people so that they're going to choose to go to downtown Minneapolis rather than another location?
David Hopkins, Managing Director of Carlson Brand Enterprise at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. Thanks so much for joining us on Access Minnesota.
Access Minnesota will return after these messages.